Hey, it's Liz with Crafty Queens. Today we are going to take some cut and sanded pieces of scrap wood, figure out what shapes and sizes we want to go where, because we are going to make a little mini house. We've also made businesses, you could make apartment buildings, anything you want, but we're going to make a little house. Once we pick out which pieces we want to use, we are going to sand and put on some strong adhesive. I'm using Titebond Quick and Thick glue here. I try to keep it away from the edges and then I smooth it out with my finger, but you could use a brush. And after we get the Titebond on there, we are going to put some hot glue beside it. The hot glue will immediately adhere, giving the Titebond the time it needs to cure. I stand it up so it's flush with the other piece on the turntable. That way this won't be wobbly or wonky looking when it is sitting on a shelf. I'll follow the same process for any pieces or additions that I want to add to my little house. For our roof, we are going to use some tiles. I have it flipped over to its back so that I can cut them and take them off the netting. Then we'll place them on the roof and use a pencil to measure out where we're going to cut. Then we'll grab our miter snips and cut it along that line. I was really thankful that these cut very easily. We'll do the same to the other pieces that we want to use for the rest of the roofs. And then for that little addition on the front of the house, we'll use a different roof that I'll show you in a minute. Now we'll do the same process that we did for the additions. We are going to use some Titebond glue, smooth it out with our fingers. I know it's hard to see, my apologies for this angle. And then we'll put some hot glue right beside it. The hot glue will adhere immediately so that the Titebond can have the time it needs to cure. And that way we don't have to sit there and hold it into place. Once those are all on, we'll take some plaster. You could use some joint compound, possibly some spackle or something similar. And I'm going to use a palette knife. You could use clay tools, you could use your finger, you could use a brush possibly. And I'm going to put a layer of this plaster on all of the wood portions besides that little addition in the front where the roof will go. So basically the front and the sides and the back, anywhere that's not a roof. This will give us some texture and it'll also make the places where you have pieces of wood glued together seem a little more seamless. Now for that other roof, we're going to use a large crafting stick. We'll give it a good little sanding once we cut it down to size. And then apparently I was finger crafting this day. We are going to take some antique wax, but you could use a baby wipe or a brush to apply it. We'll give it a dry, and then our favorite, some Titebond and some hot glue to adhere it. Then it's time for some touch-ups, so anywhere that you might need to add or remove some plaster, clean up your seams or cracks, and this is 24 hours later. One part where you can sand it, you can paint it, you can make it your own, give it a huge personality. This is definitely the most wild one I've done, and it was a lot of fun. You can even sand it or throw more plaster on to give it even more texture. Just have fun, take your time. It's very therapeutic, relaxing, calming work. And the more layers that you do, the more rustic and aged and weathered your house is going to look. I added some antique wax around the edges. Then I would go with my baby wipe and make it kind of blend. You could have these all over your home. You can give them as a gift. They're just beautiful. And you can make them in any style that you wish. I think it'd be gorgeous to have a little village of maybe 5 to 7 of these, all different shapes and sizes and colors in your home. I had painted some windows and doors, then sanded those to add a little bit more rustic and aging, and then added all the fun embellishments like metal and shutters and windowsills. Please let me know if you give one of these a try. It's so much fun. It's so relaxing. Depending on how much time you put into it each day, it can take several hours, up to a week. I think this one took me 5 or 6 days, but it brought me a lot of joy and it's completely worth it in the end. I want to take a moment to let you guys know that we do have an Etsy shop, and it's in the description on YouTube videos, and then it's in our bio or our profile of all of our other social medias. I also just want to take a minute and say thank you to everyone who watches, likes, comments, shares, gets inspired by our videos. I know the kids don't craft on here as much lately, but they do craft from time to time still. And when they're on and you guys are so kind to them, I much appreciate that. I also appreciate you guys watching my videos and supporting my videos and all the kind words. If you love this type of content and you love to do thrift flips or use up things that might be considered trash, like scrap wood here, for example, and you love vintage items and you love the rustic weathered goodness, then please give us a like, a follow, a subscribe, all the good things. I'm just kind of showing you what all I use throughout the process, and at the end you'll see how I styled it within some of my decor. I'm gonna play you some music and let the rest of this beautiful little house come together. Have a wonderful day, and we will see you next time. Bye.